The Department of Homeland Security is bracing for an uptick of attempted crossings at the southern border, just as the Biden administration is taking heat for allowing the Trump-era issued Title 42 to expire in a few weeks. On Monday, House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy led a delegation of 9 other Republican lawmakers to the border town of Eagle Pass, Texas. Here's some of what he had to say about Title 42.
A former Secretary of Homeland under Obama, Secretary Johnson, says 7,000 people a day coming across your border is unsustainable. That is where we are. 30 days from now, President Biden wants to lift Title 42. Everyone will tell you that that number will more than double, go to 18,000. If it's unsustainable today, what will it look like a month from now? We ask them what their plan will be. No plan is given.
For more on Title 42, Congressman Michael McCaul of Texas joins us now, top Republican on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thanks for joining us. In a letter you and more than 100 Republicans wrote today to the nation's Homeland Security Secretary, you say he's dismantling security at the border. Illegal border crossings, though, have been a problem for years, if not generations. Is there really a quick fix for an issue that is generational?
Well, you know, Scott, I've been involved in the border ever since 9/11 as a federal prosecutor at the Department of Justice and the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. I really feel like we were finally getting this thing more secure under the migrant protection protocols that were implemented in the prior administration, along, with this Remain in Mexico policy. 85% of the applicants coming in from south of the border in my state and others do not qualify for political asylum. So we were actually bringing this to a point where we could control it. But I would argue, Scott, this is the worst I've ever seen it in 20 years. Jay Johnson said that 1,000 a day was a bad day. That's a former Secretary of Homeland under Obama, who I worked very well with. Now we're looking at 18,000 per day, 500,000 over the next 5 weeks if Title 42 is lifted. And the irony is, if, we're talking about this COVID package of $10 billion for COVID relief, and yet we're going to lift this Title 42 that protects the general, health and welfare from, infectious diseases, that really doesn't make sense. So it is really wide open. And then we just had a Texas National Guard drown trying to save 2 illegals swimming across the river. They turned out to be narco traffickers, and very, very sad to see.
For all those who are publicly supporting Title 42 at this moment, can this exist indefinitely? Can you just keep Title 42 at a time when nearly every state is reducing or just dropping its COVID restrictions?
Yeah, I think eventually you do phase it out. However,
when is that?
Secretary Jay Johnson said, though, this is the worst time to be doing this. I know, just being from a border state that's impacted the most from this, that you have this surge of migrants, between March to July, starting to die down in August. So this is like the worst time to be doing this. Jay Johnson recommended that we not lift it during this time frame. And it's all based on the conditions on the ground. And I will say, it just came in that a federal judge now has granted a temporary restraining order that was filed in a lawsuit by 3 states to prevent the waiving or suspension of Title 42. So you are going to see this litigated, I think, in the courts.
Yes, and we do have that update from 3 states' attorneys general, their challenge to Title 42 or the policy change in the court. We saw earlier today the House Republican leader right there at the border talking about this issue, also quoting former Secretary Jay Johnson. As you watch that, do you still support Kevin McCarthy as leader of the party, despite that audio of him criticizing President Trump and audio of him seeming to contradict his own denials about criticizing President Trump?
I do. Look, we get tied up in the Beltway on this, I call it a Beltway bubble blip, if you will. And look, you have to go back to January 6th. It was a very dark, emotional day. There were a lot of comments made by a lot of members, probably not knowing they were being taped. But at the end of the day, what Kevin told me he was talking about was, what is they were sort of gaming out the options if the House chose to impeach and the Senate chose to convict. Would it not be better than for President Trump to resign? And I think that was the whole gist of the conversation. Kevin never had that conversation with the former president, and the former president doesn't seem to be very bothered by this conversation.
On the foreign and international issues, you visited the Poland-Ukraine border with a bipartisan delegation early last month after that Russian invasion had begun. What did you see? And given your position on the Foreign Affairs Committee, what would you like to see the U.S. do to further help Ukraine?
Yeah. Well, so I've been there twice in the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks prior, we had a flood of refugees, 100,000 a day coming into Poland. I really commend Poland for being so generous and compassionate to take care of these refugees. And remember, they're leaving their husbands and fathers behind to fight the war, so they're pretty much mothers and children. They want to go back, and Poland's done a phenomenal job taking care of them. When I went back with Kevin McCarthy just last week, we really didn't see the refugees coming in anymore, but rather we saw a lot of the 18-wheeler trucks unmarked going into Ukraine, and they were carrying these lethal weapons that we are now providing to the Ukrainians to arm and fight this war against the Russians, which they have been well beyond our expectations in terms of their ability to fight the Russians. We overestimated the competency of the Russian military and underestimated, quite frankly, the will of the Ukrainian people, which I think at the end of the day is going to win because they are superior.
With our limited time left, let me talk about cybersecurity. What active threats does the U.S. face from these Russian-based hackers?
Yeah, Scott, a great question. I mean, typically when you go into, the battle plans typically bring cyber operations in first. They dismantle all the infrastructure, shut down power grids, shut down everything, and then you move the troops in if you're going to invade a sovereign territory. We didn't see a whole lot of that. And I honestly, when I asked my briefers why, I can't get a straight answer. They do have tremendous capability. They shut down the Colonial Pipeline. And it just cries out to why we need international norms and standards when it comes to cybersecurity. What is acceptable and what is not? What is an act of cyber warfare and what is not? For instance, you could say bomb Poland, but if the Russians hit Poland with a destructive cyber attack, bring down critical infrastructure, would that be sufficient to invoke Article 5 under NATO? When it comes to cyberspace, a lot of unanswered questions. I stood up the Cybersecurity Agency at Homeland Security, and I'm working with the State Department on the Cyber Diplomacy Act, which will provide that necessary international relationship on what is acceptable in the international community and what is not.
An urgent, pressing issue. Joining us in Washington, longtime Texas Congressman Michael McCaul. Thank you, Congressman.
Thanks, Scott.